Yo, what's good, man? Hit that thumbs up button, man. Like, share, subscribe. So as you see in the thumbnail, you probably like, what the what? So that's the actor Jermaine Flower. He played the son in Coming to America. I can't even remember what his name was in the films. Pardon me. I watched it twice. We did the review actually Sunday. Me and my co-host Alexandria, shout out to her, and she was the one who actually pointed it out to me. Because I watched this movie for the first time and I didn't really point out or see any feminine tendencies or mannerisms, not whatever. I was so stuck on just, I couldn't believe I was actually watching the sequel to this movie. I'm like, wow, they really did this. So I'm caught up into all of the old characters and the background and the story and just trying to get a feel for the movie. So I watched it the second time, then I started seeing some of the mannerisms and some of the feminine traits of his character. I said, "Oh, I see what she's saying now," because we were talking about how in the movie, it was really poorly put together as far as the storyline between him as the American prince and his relationship with this girl who basically worked for the family down there in Zamunda, and how they rushed it. It kind of came around halfway through the film, and the girl who I did that show with, she was like, "Yo, there was no chemistry. Like there was a chemistry between Eddie Murphy and the character who played Lisa McDowell. With Jermaine, not knocking him as an actor, but it just didn't feel realistic that him and this woman it didn't look like they could, like in real life you could buy them being a couple walking down the street. It didn't look genuine. It didn't look organic. And then I'm online, and boom, I start seeing, you do big movies like this, and things people start bringing up old stuff. People brought up Kevin Hart's old tweets. People always bring up everyone's old tweets. People brought up some of his old stomping grounds because a lot of people was like, "Well, who is this guy?" They brought back everyone from the first one, and they added a few new characters. But the few new characters they had, other than the daughter, and I'll get into that later, were people that you knew, like some of the cameos, Rick Ross and some of these people, Tiana Taylor. A lot of people weren't familiar with Jermaine Fowler, didn't know who he was. I only knew who he was because I remember that show. I think it was Superior Donuts. I remember that show. I watched a few episodes, but that was it. So a lot of people are like, "Yo, who is this cat, and how did he get the opportunity to play a movie, not only with Eddie Murphy and of a sequel of a classic, but with all of these stars?" And then it doesn't look right to a lot of people. It's like when Saturday Night Live a year ago, they had Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Tracy Morgan, and Kenan Thompson, and a lot of people, the way it looked like it was gonna look like Mount Rushmore, and then until it got to Kenan, and people kind of was trying to play Kenan. I'm like, yo, Kenan got his own legacy, but standing next to them three, he just looked out of place, and Jermaine Flower looked out of place, casting wise, to the average person. So people started digging up, and then they found out he had been on RuPaul's Drag Race. Now RuPaul, I shouldn't have to explain who this is to most, my generation. I mean, hell, he had the talk show back in the '90s, back when everybody had a talk show. I've never watched RuPaul's Drag Race, but he's got this hit show. I guess it's a drag show, and there's a video clip and pictures of Jermaine Flower in full drag costume. Walking the catwalk, strutting, neck rolling, eyes popping. Like, after watching it, and I'll show the clip if anybody wants to see the clip. I'll show the link to it. It's like, okay, how are you gonna take him serious in a role where he's supposed to be the lead romantic male? And a lot of people didn't buy it. Now, there's other agendas in this film, like the feminist agenda, the daughter, because Prince Hakeem didn't have any sons, at least biologically, up until this kid came out of nowhere. The way the royalty system set up, he's got to bring it down to his daughter, but he always wanted to keep it traditional, and they put emphasis on that. It's always been about the man in Zamunda. I have to keep it traditional. They were trying to break tradition. She had been training to take over and to be the next, queen of Zamunda or whatever. And so they were pushing that. And then, you even had a scene where Leslie Jones got her pussy ate. Kind of reminiscent, the opposite of when, in the first one, when, the royal penis is clean, Your Honor, Your Highness, whatever. They flipped it with Leslie Jones. So they kind of, you can make an argument they pushed a little bit of the feminist thing. But yeah, this movie was definitely family Bob, Tyler Perry film production vibe, but yeah, they are pushing a couple of agendas in this film. I hate to overanalyze it or overthink the movie. I'm not going in full detail with all of that, but there are some things that they're pushing in this film for real, just in general. But yeah, Jermaine Flower, that whole thing is just. I'm not even surprised. You know, they call them Hollywood sacrifices. They taking it up the ass. That's what Patrice used to call it. They tell you, are you willing to take it up the ass? And it's supposed to be figuratively, but sometimes it could be literally. You know, and not saying everybody gets broken into the game like that, because I'm not in the Hollywood business, but it goes down like that. There's a show on Netflix called Hollywood, and it's crazy because it's about Hollywood, but it's based in the 1940s, and they were talking about this shit back then. People doing all this wild shit. So I mean, it's not new. This ain't some new world order, you know, new millennium type thing. This is how the business has been going on for a long time. So I mean, he paid his dues. He's actually, you know, has had a pretty good career. He's actually done a lot of different things up until coming to America. He just hadn't been in anything popular like that. Like I said, he had a failed sitcom on CBS. He did the Guy Code. That was that show that used to be on MTV. Did that, wrote for Guy Code. He did Robot Chicken. You know, he's had a lot of stuff he's been in, but he was in Judas. He's credited for being in Judas and the Black Messiah. I didn't remember seeing him in that. Anybody seen him in that? Let me know who he was. I don't recall that. But he's got a pretty good resume. But people are like, yo, how did he get it? It was people. Some people were saying they wanted to see Michael B. Jordan. I said I think that would have been too much star power. But people thought they were gonna get someone more popular, more well known, more notarized to play Eddie's son, and they got this boy. And a lot of people were like, yo, he's 30, but he acts like he's 15, 16. He acted too boyish, like too feminine, like, and people just wouldn't buy it. And I said, now it makes sense. So when my co-host of that episode said that, it just popped in my head. I thought straight of her when I heard that. I said, oh, holy shit. I said, wow. Now they've had celebrities that apparently come on RuPaul and they call it Celebrity Drag Race. Yeah, they call it Celebrity Drag Race. They had Lonnie Love on there, but they typically don't have straight men on, you know, these drag racing shows. At least to my knowledge, they don't. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure some asshole that say will cuss me out and say I'm full of shit, this and that. Yeah, you can correct me. Just don't be an ass about it. But this is the world we live in, man. Are they gonna look? There was a story I heard in New York City today that they're gonna start. They're thinking about getting rid of parent labels because they think it's offensive. No longer calling people mom and dad. This is where we're going with this. I said, I don't want to be on this planet anymore. I'm like, yo, have they finally figured out how to pump oxygen on Mars? Let me know. Yeah, look at that. NYC school seeking to ban words like mom and dad because they are offensive. This is from the trans community coming out. Man. Hey, don't kill the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. But, yeah, man, this was something I just thought was kind of funny as far as it's a coincidence, so it's just a little bullshit video. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. I'm out.